your question. Can we have microphones around? Vincent, Kigali today.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. My name is Vincent Gasana. I work with the KT Press. So it seems a startling thing to say, but all things considered, the crisis in the Democratic Republic of Congo could be ended in a mere matter of days if everybody else were to acknowledge the real causes of the conflict openly. But instead, people seem to be intent on focusing on claims from the UN group of expert reports. There is the recent statement from President Joao Lourenço, for instance, on the M23 rebel alliance entry into Masisi, seems to go on a supposed threat to territorial integrity of the DRC instead of the real causes of the conflict. So one wonders, Your Excellency, beyond signing more agreements that a lot of the signatories tend to promptly ignore, can Your Excellency envisage anything else that can be done to bring everybody around the real causes of the conflict and focus on that and get beyond the impasse and the obvious impediments to peace? Thank you very much indeed.
All right. Much as I said, I didn't have much to say, as was prompted by the moderator. Let me first of all welcome you and once again wish you a happy New Year. I hope the New Year will bring blessings to all of us. I think we had time to talk about the last year. And the last year ended well. We are now in a new year. As a country, as a people, this country and our partners and myself, we hope we can continue the good progress we made last year and do even more, including probably realizing peace in our region. We are looking forward to that. So that is the starting point of my answer to your question. This problem of Eastern Congo, which I have in the past even explained as not just Eastern Congo problem, but Congo's problem as a whole, and the problem for our region, the problem for our continent and the rest of the world. But every time it is referred to as Eastern Congo problem, in a way rightly so, because it is centered there. But the cause of it and many factors that perpetuate that problem are from different parts of the world, including from the big countries as we know them, the powerful countries as we know them. In fact, that problem has roots in the history of that country the history of our region, and the history of our continent, relating to even the early days of colonial time. That's why many times I'm surprised. Let me go straight now to the issue raised, talking about, say, sovereignty, territorial integrity. As you said in the statement made from Angola, how do these matters arise really, in a sense? M23 you talk about. These are Congolese. Even to the admission of Congo's leaders, the past and the present. Now, why are they fighting? Why do we have over 100,000 refugees here in Rwanda, originating from that region? Why? Why do we have refugees here? Is it because Rwanda wants refugees and attracted them from Congo to come to Rwanda? I said the first question, M23, why would they be fighting? They just like fighting. So, in the fighting that is happening in Eastern Congo, and you call that violation of sovereignty, territorial integrity, how does it arise? So, on one hand, these are Congolese. On the other hand, they are foreigners. So how do they combine these two identities? How do they happen to be Congolese on one hand, and then they are foreigners who have invaded Congo and therefore breaching everything about sovereignty and territorial integrity? Maybe they mean something else. Let me also try to explain that. Those who make such a statements, I would remind them and remind you here, and I know you know, people play like they are ignorant about things, yet they are supposed to be experts of that. This fighting that is happening in Eastern Congo, that has been going on for these last years, you mean here in this room, people don't know how that started? Where it originated from? These groups fighting in Congo, the fighting that was started 2 more years ago, these people fighting did not come from Rwanda as of the time the war started, or they started the war fighting. maybe I even don't know whether it qualifies as such. These people they are of Rwandese background. I don't know whether it would even be right to say they originated from Rwanda. Most of them, Congo found them where they are or where they were. It's not that there was a movement from Rwanda. Maybe some might have originated from Rwanda by this movement from Rwanda to that part, long ago. Even either before I was born or when I was a kid myself. But what I meant that Congo found these people there has to do with this history I'm talking about, of colonial times and the drawing of colonial borders. But that's why also the Congolese leaders at one point admit that these are Congolese, and then try to find another reason and say, oh, but the fighting is supported by Rwanda. But they can't tell anybody and convince anybody that the actual people who are fighting now, who started this fighting we're talking about, came from Rwanda. They did not come from Rwanda. These leaders of M23 and the majority of their fighters came from Uganda, where they had been as refugees who ran away from, or as a result of solving the problem of 2012, 2013, when these people moved to Uganda, and others came here. I remember for specific actually number, those who came here were between 500 and 600, whom we disarmed and gave back arms to the government of DRC at the time, and had been kept here for a long time until some, when things as they kept changing, the government of DRC used to send even their officials to come and speak to people here where we had held them in camps, to speak to them purportedly to resolve their problems. It went on back and forth for a long time. The problems were never resolved. But these are not the ones who started the fighting. And if you want to see where these people, most of them are still here. The fighting was started by the main group that was in and from Uganda. So how did it become Rwanda's problem, honestly? What is the basis? And for how long do we explain this? Up to what point? These people, the ones who lead this, and then the other hundreds of groups fighting in Eastern Congo, have nothing to do with Rwanda. The only reason Rwanda comes into question now for this is for a couple of reasons. One, these are Rwandophones, they speak in Rwanda. Well, but that is also what maybe became their main crime in Congo. So if they speak Kinyarwanda, that has turned into reasons for persecution. And that's why we have refugees here for over 2 decades. The other reason is the FDLR that has been, these genociders who have been in Congo for the last 30 years, whom the international community have really entertained. I think they have deliberately preserved them. I don't know for what. Whether it is a gift of thanks to them for having committed genocide here, or preserved them because they are anti-Rwanda and government, and therefore they would use them as and whenever that is possible against Rwanda, to control Rwanda, to manage it the way they want. Otherwise, tell me, part of the reason is MONUSCO, this UN force, is in Eastern Congo, in the DRC, was actually to address this problem of FDLR that kept changing names over time. But after 30 years, if you ask the UN and say, what happened? If you really ask them what they've been doing for the last 30 years they've been there, and with tens of billions of dollars they have spent on it, what is there to show for that effort that was made? Only to end up blaming Rwanda for everything that is happening in Eastern Congo, or really in Congo, because even all problems of Congo are blamed on Rwanda by these so-called international community members, and together and in support of the DRC government. If DRC government is not encouraged to take its own responsibility for its people and its country, and everybody joins them to blame others for their problems, how do you expect Congo to actually address these problems that affect all of us? How? So the statement you referred to, therefore, is part of this, I don't know what to call it, honestly, but it just doesn't make sense. It doesn't add up for any solution to the problems at hand that we need to be addressing. I don't see how. Well, I imagine a scenario where if we didn't have Rwanda at all, or if you could relocate Rwanda to another part of the world and remove it from here, would that solve the problems of Congo or of the region? Really? So, and people get lost in the blame game, this, this, that, and forget to really address the root causes of the problems we have and find a solution. And then you have geopolitics being played into all this. Then you have the blame of colonial times being managed somehow, because those who were involved in the colonial times and who are blamed for it have the power to manipulate, and always fall short of doing what is right. You find they have groups they create, they say groups of experts. I mean, how do you expert in doing what? Then you find the groups of experts. These experts are led by people who are supposed to come and really cover up the blame that should be leveled against those who are responsible for those literary crimes of that past, of colonial times. And they've been here in Eastern Congo or in Congo, groups of experts. What expertise? Expertise to come and tell lies? You know, these groups, the people making up these experts, you know, in broad daylight, killings, persecution, all kinds of stuff are done by people they see, government leaders in Congo, commanders, people belonging to either the police, the army, in broad daylight lynching people. This one is kept quiet about, and then the next, these experts write a whole, they pile up crimes committed by M23. They talk about things somewhere in the background in the villages, and they don't talk about these things that were done in towns, in broad daylight, before their eyes. Then they talk about, you know, M23 violating, you know, human rights and so on and so forth. And then Rwanda behind supporting them, and Rwanda is supposed to be there stealing minerals of Congo. So the whole thing is shifted from what the problem really is to some other imaginary problem they have created. And they really make people believe that. But honestly, for the last 30 years, if anybody wanted to understand what the problems are and what the solutions should be, you don't even need to be an expert. You just need to be wanting to resolve these problems and allowing people to have peace. So when you ask me what next do I think, I mean, what I think should happen is what I have thought from the beginning and have spoken out very loudly to whoever needed to listen. This problem is not insurmountable. It can be addressed. It can end. It should have ended in actual fact long ago. But you can't end it by manipulation. You can't end it by playing games. So, one, does FDLR exist in that situation or not? Do people understand the history of FDLR or not? So why should FDLR be an issue even for discussion? Or why should it be a big problem that can't be resolved? we told these people, whoever was involved, that we started with DRC itself, even before the current administration in DRC. We used to approach these people. We even approached the current administration. We said, let's work together to resolve this problem, and that we will support you with whatever you think you need, and we will avail ourselves and our resources to actually help you fight this FDLR and eliminate it from. And they refused. I had even given them advice that, you see, Uganda has a problem of ADF and others based in Congo. We have a problem of FDLR based in Congo. Burundi also says they have a problem based in Congo. I said, why can't we, all of us, work together? Uganda works with the DRC, Rwanda works with the DRC, Burundi works with the DRC to eliminate the threat to security along our borders. I suggested to them, to the current administration, in 2019. Now, what they did, they allowed Uganda to go and to send in their troops to go and fight ADF. They allowed Burundi to quietly go into DRC to fight whichever their groups they are fighting are. When it came to Rwanda, they refused. Of course, that means something. They refused because either on their own or on advice by whoever, they actually didn't want this problem of FDLR addressed. This was way before this M23 problem flared up. And as I mentioned to you, the main bulk, like the others, maybe they have been recruited from different places, but the main bulk of this group, including their leaders of M23, came from Uganda. They did not come from Rwanda. This is a basic fact you should all be knowing. Then ask yourselves, so how did it become Rwanda's problem? So why doesn't DRC address the problems of their own people? Why do they have to put the weight of that on our shoulders? Why don't they take away these 100,000 plus refugees here? Take them back home. Now, to show you the connection with these other countries, for all the time this problem has been there, some of these refugees, these countries, United States, Canada, Scandinavian countries, other countries, they've been coming here and selecting people from these camps that they would go and relocate in their countries. They've been doing it over a long time, but they have not taken many people. Out of 130,000 we have here, they have maybe among these countries, they have maybe relocated for settlement in their areas about, it can't be more than 11,000 over 20 years. So do these people come and take these refugees, or these people, knowing that they are taking Rwandese or they are taking Congolese? They definitely know they are taking Congolese. So how about those who are staying here and have not found a home anywhere in these areas? What happens to them? And they are coming every day, every time, with this fighting going on. So then they quickly find a solution in saying, let's blame Rwanda for everything. Then they make statements. Rwanda backed M23 is doing this, is doing Rwanda every day. Rwanda must remove their forces. So I asked another time when we were having a conference like this, if anybody thinks Rwanda is in DRC, why should Rwanda be in DRC? They should ask themselves that question. If you want to blame Rwanda for being in DRC, can you also make an effort and try to reason and say, okay, but yeah, it's true, Rwanda is in DRC. Rwandan forces are in DRC. But why? Why should they be in DRC? So that's why they quickly find an answer and say, they are there to steal minerals. Okay, suppose that is also true, if you think that is true. What happened to FDLR? Or what happened to what produced refugees to be here in their hundreds of thousands? What happened? Why? Was it because RDF was stealing minerals in Congo? That's why these refugees came here? Is it? So where is the FDLR? FDLR is nowhere. You don't remember 2019 and later on afterwards 21 and so on, when there were 2019 in November, I remember there was an incursion through Virunga Mountains, invaded our country, areas of Kinigi and in Musanze. These were FDLR. Afterwards, the bombardment that came from DRC onto our territory. There we held a Commonwealth conference here. So the bombardment that was, and it killed our people. And we raised these matters with the government of DRC. Now, so everything is, oh no, they are there just stealing the minerals. Okay, if you are right on this, how about these other issues? How have you addressed them? So, my dear friend, I've given you a long answer. I wanted to really be quoted correctly, and I hope you will. This problem can be addressed, but it cannot be addressed by just having processes where the only thing, in fact, it's really sad. We have processes and we have leaders leading these processes, and what becomes more important is the appearance, the camera appearance. It's being seen there to be signing something, and that becomes an end in itself. You leave the problem intact, you don't address it. Oh, but you didn't go to Rwanda. Okay, how about the time I went there? What happened? Because there are times I have been in these In fact, up to a point I got tired of going. We have meetings in Nairobi, I was always present. We have meetings in Rwanda, I was always present. Wherever there were meetings to discuss how to end this problem, Rwanda was present. But in the end, even now as we speak, the importance is not ending the problem, the importance is in the process. It's in the appearance to be photographed and you say you were in Rwanda. So if you're not there, but I have discovered that being there and not being there amounts to the same thing. It doesn't address the problem. So we have to find a way of addressing the problems. Not processes becoming an end in themselves. Not the leaders of those processes holding people's hands and doing this being an end in itself. We have to have results built on addressing the root causes. And then another time they say, oh, Rwanda, you see, you have influence on M23. By the way, influence just because some of those guys will speak the same language, so that becomes an influence. Okay, but let's assume we have the influence. And I have been asking these people, so, okay, what do you want me to tell these people? Do you really want me? What do you want me? Give me a message to take to these people over whom I have influence. And as I see, you know, they stop fighting. Okay, that one I can do. But what follows that next? Because if I tell them to stop fighting, and they are attacked and killed, who takes the blame? It's not you who sent me to tell them, it's actually me. Meaning I lured the people into, but then in all conscience, do you also want me to go and tell people that you should accept being denied your rights and keep quiet because some people, some powers are not happy? So maybe that's what they want me to tell these people. I can't. You never. You know, it happened when we met, you must have seen it, when I met President Tshisekedi in New York around General Assembly. And we had with us President of France, President Macron. At that time they were telling me, please give these people a message, they leave Bunagana. There is a place they had taken over called Bunagana, the border with Uganda. Otherwise, fighting will continue. I said, okay, I can even transmit your message, just out of politeness. But if I tell them to leave Bunagana and get lost, first of all, where do they go? Secondly, are you going to follow that with addressing their problem they are fighting for? And there was no clear, but anyway, I came back, I sent a message, sent intelligence people to tell them. I said, for the good of the peace process, maybe somebody is thinking about to bring peace, you leave Bunagana as a symbol that you want to have a peace process going on and resolve the problem. As they are about to, they agreed with the message I sent to them. In other words, they agreed with me. As they were preparing to leave, they were attacked. There was serious fighting. And then I called up these leaders. I said, but you people, you lied to me. You told me I should transmit a message that these people should leave, and then that will help a process to resolve the problem. Then, little did I know, the intention was actually maybe to attack them when they thought it wasn't going to be the case. So from that time, things have been like that over and over and over and over and over again. These government forces attack. In most cases, they are beaten back. And then there is a loudspeaker everywhere announcing how M23 has been violating ceasefire. You attack, we fight, I push you back, and then I'm the one who violated the ceasefire. This has been what goes on every day. And even with these experts that we have in place, they cannot tell, but that shows it's not that they can't tell what is the truth. It's just that the truth is not what they want. It's not what they like. It's completely different. So Rwanda, while we may be blamed for other people's problems, we are also happy to be blamed for our own problems of trying to defend ourselves, if that is what it means. We will defend ourselves at any cost. There's no question about it. I have told those who are behind all this in a very clear language. They keep asking me the same questions. I keep giving them the same answers. If there is anything that I can compromise on, it has nothing to do with ceding even a millimeter in terms of preserving the security of our country. Absolutely not. So, my friend who asked the question, the answers are obvious, they are known. But in their heads, these other people have their own other way of looking at things. They don't care about us, they don't care about anybody, they care about themselves. If you want to allow yourself to open up, to be crushed, you get crushed, and that's not their business. They really facilitate that. So, let me end up the wrong story here, but it is an accumulation of, I have been silent for a long time. So I thought I needed maybe to go back into a little bit of the history of the problem. But the facts are clear. It's only those who don't want the facts that have other ways of looking at things. All right, maybe that answers all the questions you had in mind, but we can open up for more questions.
Your Excellency, before we take more questions from the room, we received a question from a journalist called Charles Onyango Obo. He and 10,000 more are watching live right now online. And he says, you led the African Union reform process and most of its financing mechanisms. Given the failure of AU diplomacy and security interventions in the Horn of Africa, the fiasco the EAC faced in Eastern DRC, the mixed results of the Luanda process, do you think perhaps AU needs a reform of its political and diplomatic processes? Some have gone as far as calling for the disbanding of the AU's Peace and Security Council and the creation of a new, more effective mechanism. Do you agree? And what reforms, if any, do you think can make change?
Well, on what you said, do I agree? I don't. Because it's not the structure or the form or whatever you have in place that is the problem. It is the people. It's the leaders. It's the people working in those structures and therefore subsequently the countries they come from that are a problem. So how do structures in themselves become a problem? So even if you created another structure, but you have the same people thinking the same way, what are you likely to get out of that? I think Charles must be aware of that. I don't know what really needs to be done. Yes, I was given responsibility by the leaders of our continent to work with others to suggest the reforms that can be made on our continent. I was happy to lead that process. And by the way, I also reached a point, after I had more or less completed the main bulk of what I was supposed to do, I thought we needed maybe to find another person. Because when I was seeing some, I mean, you can hear this. We sit in meetings, leaders, I'm talking leaders, of leaders, presidents, prime ministers and others. We agree something in a room like this. Suggestions that have come from us. We agree. We put something in place. And then, in the end, nothing works. Do you think it's a problem of the process? It's a problem of the structure? It's a problem. I think the answer is obvious. The problem is us. So in fact, when I even wanted to test that, because when it was just going back and forth like this and that, and we agree something, we don't do it, or we do it halfway, and so that is how I decided. And I told the leaders in the room that, you know what, I've been very happy to serve you, but I think it has come to the time we try somebody else. Maybe before you get tired of me, or before I get too frustrated myself, but to serve the cause of reform, I think we can, here in this room, choose somebody else to lead the process, so that we try different people, different angles of dealing with the matter, and that's how the process went to a different person, the President of Kenya, President Ruto. In fact, in the meeting, they even asked me who I think could be. So I gave them my proposition. All was to try and make a point to me that, I mean, I was trying to make a point to these people that we have a problem we need to address. And it's not going to be one person here or one structure there. Collectively, we have a problem because we cannot adhere to even things we have suggested ourselves and agreed and put in place and make them work to serve us well. So suggesting to dismantle this and create this, and I don't think it gives us any solution. The problem is in us. We need to, if we want things to work, we need to adhere to what we have agreed, what we think is important for our continent, for our people, and so we just have to keep trying with what we have in place. Yes, if there is a need to change something, sure, you can do that, but you still remain with the problem with not doing what you have agreed, irrespective of whatever changes, other changes you put in place. Right?
Yes.
Yeah, so I don't see that. We need to find some way. I don't know whether, some magic. Whether we need to be saved, we need to, somehow we have to find some cleansing process where we renew ourselves, and we, I don't know, we have to find something. Otherwise, we are really not serving ourselves well. Mm-hmm.
We'll now come back to the room and take more questions.
Yeah.
Arefi, and then we can come to Al Jazeera.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, Your Excellency. My name is Lucie Mouillot, and I'm the journalist for Radio France International. After the postponement of the Head of State Summit in Luanda in December, what is the current state of the Luanda talks, and how does Rwanda perceive the continuation of the negotiation? Thank you.
What the last part, sorry?
How does Rwanda perceive the continuation of the negotiations in the Rwanda talks?
Yeah. For that one, I try to give it a short answer. Much as it lies in the early explanations I was giving. There has to continue an effort to find a solution. If I start backwards, there has to be an effort to continue finding a solution to this problem. But it can't be business as usual. We can't continue the way we have been doing it, putting the importance of the process above the results. I think what we are looking for are the results, not the process. But we need the process to get there. And in the process, therefore, you need to do what is right. So on that note, really the effort has to keep in place, and we have to keep asking ourselves the right questions and finding the right answers. The FDLR question has to be answered. There is no dodging, being dodged about that and circling around the problem endlessly. We have to find a solution. Tied with that, the internal problems of DRC, of persecuting their own people and making it our problem by giving us refugees and by giving us all sorts of names that we are supporting those people fighting for their rights in the DRC, has to find a solution. And the solution lies in internal political process or dialogue that the government can, on one hand they say they want to talk to this, and then they say, no, we'll never talk to them, they are terrorists, and then, so you even don't get to understand what is really is it that you are dealing with. They say, no, we won't talk to them, but we shall mandate somebody else to talk to them for us. I don't know what that leads to. I can't be blamed for it, really. Do you want a solution or you don't want a solution? That's it. And if you want a solution, then the character of the process and the quality of it explains it. People can see what you are doing and you understand that you actually want a solution. So the meeting did not happen because, again, it wasn't the appearance there that was the most important thing. It was what was taking us there and how it is being addressed that was more important. And before the summit was to take place, there had been technical people meeting, discussing, and ministers meeting, DRC, Rwanda, and Angola. The technical people would agree things, and then it comes to ministers, what the technical people agreed, half of it is rejected. And when I'm saying this, mark you and check. It should really be rejected by DRC, not Rwanda. Even if earlier it was endorsed by technical people from DRC and agreed with our people and the Angolans, it comes to a meeting of ministers. The minister says, no, this one can't happen. So they go on for a long time. Ministers' meeting comes and they meet, they discuss, and when they are getting close to something, the minister of DRC steps out, picks a phone call, makes a call, and comes back and says, no, I don't want this. Said, but this thing you don't want is what leads us to finding a solution. And he says, no way, I don't want. So that's, in the end, they disagreed until maybe 3 o'clock in the morning or something. And but still then there was insistence, no, we must go there and sign. And sign something. Not even to have another discussion, because I don't think there was even need for that to happen. So that's what killed the summit. So it's not Rwanda that killed the summit. It's actually DRC. And they were saying it, by the way, for those who want to hear. If you don't want to hear, that's another matter. But when statements are coming from heads of state and foreign and ministers, and they are saying, no, they will never do this, and yet that is what is being asked to be done, even logically, and sometimes in agreement with the mediator, and he says, no way. First of all, these are terrorists, I will never speak to them, meaning he's not prepared to find a political solution to the internal problems, but is willing to continue blaming them on Rwanda. And then he's dodgy about FDLR. One time he says they don't exist, that they are not there. Another time they say, yeah, but they are there, but they are few. Then another time he says, no, but this is just an excuse. They are there, but it is an excuse. They want to steal our minerals. I mean, it becomes childish stuff. You can't even know what you are dealing with. So I had agreed to go all the way until last minute, and they said, because I didn't see what was taking me there, honestly. So, but the other question I started with, or you asked, and I started answering, was there has to be a way of finding a solution. We can't just live with it and give up, but there are going to be these ups and downs in finding the solution.
Thank you, sir. We will now go to Al Jazeera.
Thank you, Mr. President. Laif Mushtaq from Al Jazeera Digital. Mr. President, in a few days there is a new administration will take office in United States. Do you expect a change in how Washington deals with the situation in Eastern Congo? Thank you.
Well, first of all, I respect the change that has taken place in the United States, because for it to happen, it must have been for very good reasons that the Americans endorsed in their vote. So I'm happy with what there is, and I've got to deal with it the way it is. And building on that, I think so many things have changed and will change. First of all, the administration changed through a democratic process. There are many things, even geopolitically, at least to the approach, that are going to change, for sure. And I guess, and I think so, that it will be the same to the approach of how African matters may be dealt with, generally, and also specifically with Eastern Congo, the same might see change happen. That's what I think from a distance and just waiting for what will follow. But I think there is bound to be change, not just one in one place, but many changes in many places at the same time. Because it's not only that things have changed in the United States, I can still see many things changing across the world. In fact, at a terrific speed, that we have to work hard to take care of ourselves, given the whirlwind of change sweeping across the world.
Thank you, sir. Ozwakim? Microphone.
What is it? Okay, thank you. So mwakoze nyakubahwa Perezida wa Repubulika, nitwa Mutuyezu Oswald, nkora kuri Radio TV channel. Guverinoma iriho ni kuvuga abaministre barahiye mu kwitariki 19 z'ukwa munani, ubu hamaze gusimbuzwamo batanu. Manda ibanza yarangiye nabwo hasigayemo batanu. Impinduka tubona ko zihuta cyane. Ese bisobanuye iki kubirebana na accountability, kubazwa inshingano? Ese hakorwa iki kugira ngo bitagira imishinga cyangwa se gahunda bihungabanya, bidindiza? Mubonye n'umwanya mwavuga ku kirebana na bino bigo bitsura ubuziranenge bitatu byajyaga bimera nka babahigi benshi bayobya ryatungo uburari, ariko ubu byorohejwe. Bavuze yuko icyangombwa kimwe cy'ubuziranenge ikigo kibonye kiba gihagije, byorohejwe gutumiza ibintu mu mahanga cyangwa kubyohereza, nta kubasaba byinshi kereka ibirebana n'imiti. Tukibaza tuti nta kintu mubona gikwiye gukorwa no mu bikorera bananiza abakiriya babo, cyane cyane za bank usanga zituma umukiriya agenduza n'ibigaruka n'ibyo bamaranye igihe ugasanga barongeye barabigutumye. Urwo rwari urugero. Murakoze.
impinduka muri guverinoma ntiziraba ahubwo turacyari ku ntangiriro. Ndabivuga mpereye ko bihera ku bintu byinshi kandi n'imiterere y'igihe, imiterere y'igihugu, imiterere y'abantu, deni n'icyifuzo cy'ubuyobozi bw'igihugu buba bwifuza ko twakora ibintu neza nta guta igihe, bishoboye no kugabanya icyo bidutwara, icyo bidusaba, nabyo byose bikakubira hamwe. Baravuga rero impinduka zibaye muri iki gihe gishize, tuvuge mu mwaka ushize n'intangiriro, uyu byari bitaraba ku mpera y'umwaka ushize, ariko ari mbere gato y'amatora twagiyemo na nyuma yaho kurangiza uyu mwaka. Ariko ibyo byabaye hashize igihe, impinduka isa n'iyatujeho gato. Ibyo rero bituruka mu kureba ikiba gikenewe muri icyo gihe. Ariko nubwo wambajije ikibazo ugomba kuba ufite nawe uko ubibona cyangwa utekereza, cyane cyane binashingiye no ku bagiye bahinduka cyangwa bihindura. Ugomba kuba uvuga uti ariko aha koko hari hakenewe. Ntabwo ngusabye ngo bimbwire ubigumane mu mutima wawe, ariko nzi ko ugomba kuba ureba aha ukavuga uti ariko hariya ahubwo baradutindiye, cyangwa ahandi uti. Byose rero biva mu kugerageza, ariko dufite gushakisha gukora byinshi bishoboka, gukora ku muvuduko ushoboka kugira ngo bigabanye uburemere bw'ibibazo abantu bahura nabyo, byaba mu buhinzi n'ubworozi, byaba mu buzima, byaba mu burezi, byaba mu bikorwa remezo, byaba mu bikorera nyine nk'ibyo wari unavuze warangirijeho, nabyo ndaza kubisubiramo. Umuntu ahora nko kuba rwose ufite igishushanyo imbere yawe cy'ibintu byose uko biriho, uko bikorwa, babikora, hanyuma bikakwereka ikivuyemo, noneho bigashaka ngo uko wabirebaga uko ibintu bigenda ugira ibyo uhindura. Kuri jye sinzi, wenda ku bandi wenda hari ukundi babibona. Mu mikorere y'igihugu cyacu, mu gukorera igihugu cyacu, cya mbere shyira imbere, mvuge ku giti cyanjye, ni abaturage b'u Rwanda. Barabona ibishoboka byose bikwiye uko dushoboye. Hari ibyo tutageraho, hari ibyo tutabona kubera ko tutanabishoboye, tugategereza igihe amikoro azabonekera wenda tukabikora. Ariko kubihari, kubishoboka, barabona ibyiza bikwiye uko bishoboka or not. Icyo ni kimwe. Ababikora barabikora uko bikwiye, cyangwa bashyiramo amarangamutima yabo, bagakora ibintu uko babyumva, uko babishaka, cyangwa byaba biterwa se n'aho bari, bashobora gukora ahandi neza kurusha. Ibyo nabyo ukabinyuramo ukabitekereza. Cyangwa se barabiterwa n'uko bagera ku nshingano bakibonamo muri izo nshingano mbere na mbere kurusha kureba abaturage muri izo nshingano bashinzwe. nibo bagiye hejuru y'ibintu byose babikora uko babishaka uko babyumva ntawe wagira icyo avuga. Kuba bishinzwe rero bishobora kuba bishinzwe abandi ahandi cyangwa njye kubinshinze ari nanjye biturukaho icyo kibazo cyo guhindura abo bantu. Rwose mbikora nabanje kunyura muri izo nzira. Iyo nabonye ko hari ikigomba guhinduka ntabwo ntumwanya, niyo narara ngushyizemo kubera ko nta kintu nari nkuziho cyangiza nkakibona umunsi ukurikiye ndakuvanaho. Kuko si wowe mbona mbere mu kazi, ndabona igihugu n'inyungu zacyo mbere na mbere. Ibyo kujya kurwanya ngo atababara tarakara, iyo wagenda ukishwa n'agahinda ntacyo bibwiye niba nakemuye ikibazo cy'abaturage cyangwa ikibazo rusange ubundi twese duhuriraho kugira ngo ibintu bikorwe neza. Kuri ibyo rero nuko bimeze. Ndumva muri ibyo ngibyo nta kindi kidashoboka. No ku cya kabiri harya wavuze ngo ni iki wakise iki?
Murakoze nyakubahwa Perezida wa Repubulika. No kuri icyo cya mbere hari abavuga bati muba mwarambagije nabi niyo mpamvu uwo mushyizeho bucyavaho.
Birashoboka rwose kurambagiza nabi, birashoboka kubera ko abantu urabazi, hari ukwihisha ntumumenye, ukazamumenya yabaye tested ku kazi. Kuko kandi ntugire ngo ni nanjye ubikora, binyura mu zindi nzego. Hari ubwo izi nzego zibicika nazo, erega nazo zirimo abandi bameze nk'abo barangaye bageze bate, bikaza byihuta bakambwira bati kanaka, bati ni igitangaza, nimumuzanire. Yahagera akambwira ariko se ko mwambeshye kundeba hari ikibazo ariko birebera ku bikorwa, ntabwo ari amarangamutima, ntabwo nabwo umuntu mwambwe umeze atya ko yaje agakora ibi akagira atya. Mbere na mbere batubaze turebe ko ibi ngibi byamubonetseho ari ukuri, kugira ngo atabeshyerwa cyangwa ataza kuhutazwa n'ikitari cyo. Ubwabo abandi bamuzanye akaba aribo bavuga bati nibyo bya bintu twasanze ari byo. Ubwo se najya guhera mu kintu cyo kuvuga ngo baribeshye, reka mbyihanganire. Cyabonetse kigomba kugenda gityo.
Hanyuma cya kindi rero nikivugana na bino bigo bitsura ubuziranenge,
ibya private sector, ibyabikorera rwose ndemeranya nawe. Tugomba gushakisha uburyo n'abikorera, erega n'abikorera ntabwo abikorera banyamwigendaho. Abikorera bikorera mu gihugu. Niyo wikorera, iyo ukoze nabi bifite undi byangiriza. Rero hari inzego za leta, hari iz'abikorera, tugomba gushaka uko bihuzwa kugira ngo byombi bikore neza byuzuzanye, kuko ni igihugu tureba. Igihugu kirimo abo bikorera, kirimo.
Break and come back for more questions.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good.
Good afternoon again, Your Excellency. We'll take a few more questions from the room. We could start from that side and then come to Scovia, Lionel, then Scovia.
Thank you, Mr. President. We are undergoing profound changes globally in the political sphere. On the one hand, we see populist movements in the very countries that used to lecture Africa about good governance and democracy. And we also see in Africa young people taking power in unconventional ways. What does it say about the future of governance, and what will the global political landscape look like in the years to come? Thank you.
First, if people follow what some of us would be saying for the last 20, 25 years, it is only to confirm what we saw coming or we thought was coming. It's not, as far as I'm concerned, it's not a big surprise with the changes that have been happening. Doesn't matter whichever background or political walks of life. Things happen to an extent that the people will eventually, for one reason or another, identify more with what they find benefiting them more than other things. And that's why we should all be making an effort, those who are at the helm of political institutions or other things, to make sure we identify with what people think works for them, and work with the people to achieve that. Short of that, if you think you just impose things the way you want, and in your own way you think it's what should happen, it doesn't take very long before you are surprised that but what, in the question you've raised, there is also some of those things that people have questioned over time. The lectures given to, say, Africa originates from the assumption, of course, given the divide there is, people call it north, south. The people of the north have assumed this right, or an entitlement, that they have the power and they will use it to serve themselves well, even if it means using it against others who are even weaker. Still, that must serve their but a couple of things are interesting. while you are assuming that you have every right to take it to others and feed it to them, whether they want it or not. At the same time, at home, meaning the home of those people who think like that, there are internal processes, internal contradictions, because the people there also are saying, what are our leaders, our governments doing for us? And depending on which side of politics, one will gain over others, because, and here it is difficult to tell. You can't decide for people that this is what they must think that is right for them. Even these populist or conservative or liberals or whatever you call them, within there is a discussion as to whether what is happening internally among them serves the way they see things should happen internally now, before they go out and take it on to the others, those of us at the receiving end. So that internal contradiction will define things, and rightly so, their own way. And you see, it is very interesting when you look at, somebody talked about the administration in the United States. Following what was going on the media, I mean, on the news and the media and everywhere, there was this opinion being shaped that one side had no chance. And you know, the leader is embroiled in litigations here, these ones, blah, 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 you know. Even the experts we used to follow in the news would really give you an impression they have formed their opinion there is one side that is going to win. Now, a few weeks after, they sort of disappeared, really. And these were experts to tell us about things in their own place. So why do you think? Because they were saying one thing, they were forming their opinions, they want everybody to believe that, for one reason or another. But somehow the process of democracy gave them a different result. And they had to swallow their pride and accept what has happened. So that is in their area. So now, as it were from the beginning, they were used to taking it on some other people somewhere else in the South. Now, the South isn't going to be in a permanent state of confusion and, you know, obedience and just following the dictates as they come along. A number of changes have to happen also one way or the other, either changed by the people on the ground and saying these leaders of ours who are not doing anything other than sucking up to these dictates, we should find a way of getting rid of them, one way or the other. In fact, it is either one way or through the vote, which is always the preferred choice. But when that is not possible, some people have used the other means to get rid of is in a sort of defiance about how they feel they are treated by these leaders, or by extension, those who dictate their leaders, who dictate to their leaders what to do in their own countries. So one way, it will always give somehow, change will happen. So what we see on the political, economic, geopolitical landscape is a result of that. There is soul searching at different levels by different people, and it doesn't matter the weak, the strong, and there will always be a way to give in terms of the outcomes. So in Africa, Africa is no exception. You see, I have argued even openly and even to the point of probably being misunderstood. When we've been talking about, people have been talking about coup d'etats happening in different parts of our continent. Let me start with that. Coup d'etats are bound to happen in a place where so much is happening, and then the people either get fed up one way or the other and express themselves again one way or the other. As I said, they express themselves through the vote. Or these ones who carry out coup d'etats are from this society. So they are part and parcel of the citizenry of these countries. So they are part of this dissatisfaction, resentment, anger, and injustice. Some young person. And then we say, oh, the establishment, unconstitutional means, Yes, means. But that has happened because the constitutional means did not deliver to the people to the extent that they, if you are saying it shouldn't have happened, then you should also be saying what was there before that was changed should not have been behaving the way it was behaving. Now, to the people, there is a point where they may tell you, yes, what you have is bad, the coup, bad enough. But what was there before was even worse. And this is what they would tell you. So for them, they have maybe chosen between what is bad and what is worse. It's what I mean. Now, the remaining problem, which must also be addressed, it's not enough to change what you think is bad. It's also important that when such a change has happened, you must really do better than what you have removed. So these ones who carry out coups, they have a task to make sure that they justify why they removed or they did what was unconstitutional to bring change. That change must be real, must give the people what is better than what they were getting under then that would be justified in a sense by that. So that is what is unfolding that we see every day. There is that struggle that goes on. So I hope certainly those who take over, while they may be condemned, in some cases rightly so, everything can be put right by new developments happening that are going to serve people much, much better than what they had before. So, and that's what is happening on our continent. But for the dictates, for lectures, and so on and so forth, it's up to people to make a choice. And I think Africans need to just reject being, you lecture me on what should happen in Rwanda based on what? When even where you are coming from is having some confusion, some changes. So which dictate should I follow? I think we should also strive to do, things the way that works for us and improves people's lives. And what is so bad is that you may follow the dictates and do the very things that will run down your country. And by the way, those who give you lectures will manifest in two forms. One, some will actually blame you for it, even if you followed what they told you to do. Others will help you to sink deeper into the mess you have driven yourself. So you are better off charting your own course with your people and doing what you think is right for you or what works for you, and especially if it shows in the outcomes, in the results, then really that is what all along deserved to happen. Right?
Scovia?
Murakoze nyakubahwa Perezida wa Repubulika, nitwa Scovia Mutesi, nkorera mama urwa Gasabo TV. Nyakubahwa abaturage batandukanye hirya no hino mu gihugu bafite ikibazo cyaho babarirwa ko bazimurwa cyangwa hazacishwa ibikorwa remezo hagashira imyaka 2 batishyuwe kandi barabujwe kugira ikindi kintu bahakorera. Ibyo bisa na kimwe naho bacisha imihanda mu butaka bw'abantu ntibabahingurane bakavuga ngo cyari igikorwa remezo bigahwaniramo cyangwa bigahwana n'icyo gikorwa remezo. Ikindi ni kijyanye nuko amafaranga y'amanyamahanga urugero nk'amadolari, amazu menshi y'ubucuruzi mu mujyi wa Kigali n'ahandi mu mijyi itandukanye barishyuza amadolari aho kwishyuza mu manyarwanda. Abanyarwanda bamwe bacuruza bakavuga ko bibahendesha kuko babarira amafaranga y'amanyamahanga mu yabo. Ndasoza mvuga ku kijyanye n'ubushizi cyo nari nakoresha ukambwira ngo nzakwibutse ngira ngo ninge warangaye sinakwibutsa abaturage baratacyategereje guhabwa imigabane yabo muri Banki Populaire. Ndagushimiye.
So urumva ko namwe mwibagirwa rero burya ntabwo ari twe gusa. Ibyo abaturage bimurwa mu buryo butari bwo budakwiye, ibyo birazwi, ndabizi, ariko n'izindi nzego zirabizi, nubwo tugerageza kugira ngo bijye mu buryo bizajya mu buryo one way or the other. Byo bitwaye igihe, bibabaza abantu, bibatera igihombo, ariko byo bikwiye gukorwa, bikwiye bikorwa, ukimura abantu, niba wagiye kubimura ukabishyura, ariko ibyo ntabwo ari ibyo gusa wenda icyo bagiye kuba kuvuga hari impande nyinshi hari nubwo uburyo buhari ko bikwiye kuba bikorwa uburyo rwose burahari burazwi hari n'ubundi bwakoreshwa ukoresheje ukuri gusa wenda bitari byanditse mu rugero icya mbere ni abimurwa cyangwa abazimurwa bashaka kugira ngo abe ari bo bagena igiciro cy'ibyo bazishyurwa valuation y'aho bagiye kuva n'amafaranga bagomba kubishyura ubundi hari uburyo bikorwa bitagendeye kuri leta cyangwa bitagendeye ku muturage bigendeye kuri bushingira ku impamvu zizwe icyo ubwo urumva ntabwo giturutse ku nzego za leta giturutse ku bimurwa icya kabiri hari ahantu abantu bamenya mbere y'uko hari ahantu ubundi hadakwiye kuba haturwa cyangwa aho batuye abantu bazimurwa kubera igikorwa cy'inyungu rusange rw'igihugu noneho babimenya biri mu nzira y'ibikorwa bakajya kuhatura cyangwa bakajya kuhagura kugira ngo bazishyurwe hari abasanzwe rero bahatuye ubu badafite n'icyaha ntibahimutse ntibahagiye mu buryo butari bwo nta nubwo bagiye mu buryo bwo kuba aribo bagena igiciro icyo bari bwishyurwe ibyo nabo bakabigwamo bitewe n'imikorere mibi y'inzego zitandukanye ibyo birahari inzego ziratandukanye nyinshi ariko icyo mvuga ni uko ibyo byose bigomba gushyirwa ku murongo ibyo ni ukugenda tubishyiramo imbaraga kugira ngo bishyirwe ku murongo abantu bazimurwa niba batuye aho badakwiye kuba batuye bareba hari nk'abantu n'ibi byo kwimura abantu mu bishanga byagiye biba bigateza n'urusaku hari abantu bagiye baturamo batanabihawe n'uburenganzira ariko hari abandi batuyemo babihewe uburenganzira n'inzego zimwe na zimwe ziba zifite uruhare zibishinzwe ndetse wajya kumwimura right reso akakwereka icyangombwa yahawe n'uwo muturage ndetse wajya gukurikirana rimwe na rimwe muri izo nzego z'abo bayobozi ugasanga uko yabitanze mu buryo butari nabwo ariko kubera ko afite inshingano bigatera ikibazo baramuhaye amafaranga gusa akahatanga kandi atari ngombwa murabizi ko hari n'abayobozi b'inzego z'ibanze bagiye birukanwa bahanwa bagira bate kubera ibintu nk'ibyo ngibyo byakorwaga gutyo birahari rero birahari ariko bigomba gushyirwa mu buryo abishyurwa badafite ikibazo bagomba kwishyurwa ntabwo babashyira mu gutegereza igihe bibatera ikindi kibazo abakoze ibintu bitari byo nabwo bigomba gushakirwa umuti nabwo bigashyirwa ku murongo niba ari uhanwa agahanwa niba ari wishyurwa nawe wenda ku buryo bunamufasha ngo ushobore kujya ahandi nabyo bigakorwa ibyo byo birakwiye ntabwo numva twabitindaho ni ukureba gusa uko abantu babyihutisha kugira ngo bireke guhora ntabwo ari aba bantu baba bikoreye umuzigo gusa na leta ikwiye kuba iyobora mu bintu bizima nayo ikwiye kuba yivanaho uwo muzigo yikoreza. Then icya kabiri cy'abantu bishyura cyangwa bishyurwa mu mafaranga yo hanze, ubundi bikwiye kuba bishyirwa mu buryo bw'igihugu cyacu bw'amafaranga y'amanyarwanda dukoresha. Urumva ni bibi no ku nshuro ebyiri, kuko uwo wishyurwa nko mu madolari cyangwa amayorozi cyangwa iki, mu matagisi ntabwo yishyura mu madolari, yishyura mu manyarwanda. Ntabwo ari byo. Ntabwo uwo muntu ushyiraho ko agomba kwishyurwa nka renti cyangwa iki mu madolari, nawe aba akwiriye noneho kwishyura mu madolari mu buryo bwa taxes bishyura. Ariko ibyo byose ubundi bikwiye kuba bifite uburyo bikurikiranwaho. Iyo ni nko kwica amategeko, bisha amategeko bakabihanirwa. Bitwara umwanya rero, kuko abantu benshi babyumva uburyo butandukanye, niba budakurikije amategeko cyangwa nabo bafitemo inyungu. Niyo mpamvu bitwara igihe, ariko ubundi umurongo urahari kandi twifuza ko ukwiye kuba ukurikizwa. Ndibwira ko aho tuvugira aha hari uburyo bubitekereza ushaka kubishyira ku murongo. Navuga gusa ko bikwiriye kwihuta, nicyo cyangombwa, bigacika burundu. Icyo nacyo ndumva bizatungana. Icya gatatu bavuze ngo ni iki?
Ni abaturage bari bafite imigabane muri banki populaire.
Ikibazo cy'imigabane, ariko usibye ko nanjye ntakurikiranye, ariko njye naratumitse. Njye narabwiye ababishinzwe muri minisiteri ndetse mu kabineti ko bikwiye gukurikiranwa bigakorwa vuba. Ahubwo ikibazo cyanjye ni uko ntakurikiranye kumenya ko uko byakurikiranwa.
Your Excellency, they did respond. They shared some information that the minority or local shareholders registration process has been ongoing as of November 2024. 42% out, 239,531, which is 42% out of 576, 245 accounts of people have been identified and registered with full information. The bank is developing a system that will facilitate the printing of shares certificate from any branch of the shareholder's choice. The system is expected to be ready by end of February, so it's ongoing.
February this year?
Yes, sir.
So, urumva sinakurikiranye ngo nanjye bambwira ibyakozwe, ariko byo naratumitse burya.
Thank you, sir. We can take a question from here and then go back to that side. BNB FM.
Murakoze nyakubahwa Perezida wa Repubulika, nitwa Bagishya Jean de Dieu, mvuye kuri BNB Kigali FM. Nyakubahwa Perezida wa Repubulika, mu masaha 48 ashize, raporo ya World Economic Forum irebana n'icyerekezo cy'isoko ry'umurimo ku isi iragaragaza ko mu myaka 20 iri imbere 67% by'imirimo ishingiye ku biro izavaho, ahubwo ko buri myaka 5 imirimo ishingiye ku mpano ari igiye kuzamuka. U Rwanda muri imyaka 5 ishize, nyakubahwa Perezida wa Repubulika, mushyize ingufu cyane mu kubaka uruganda rwa siporo ndetse n'uruganda rw'ubuhanzi, creative industry, haba mu kubaka inzego uhereye ku rwego rwa guverinoma, haba mu kubaka ibikorwa remezo bijyanye n'igihe, ndetse nyakubahwa perezida wa repubulika muherutse kubitangamo icyerekezo ubwo abayobozi bashya barahiraga muri minisiteri ya siporo. Nyamara ariko nyakubahwa perezida wa repubulika, hari abafatanyabikorwa za guverinoma ziba zifite mu rwego rwo kuzamura izo mpano kugira ngo zigere aho zigera ku isoko ry'umurimo bibe igisubizo. Abantu bitwa ingaga n'amashyirahamwe, haba muri creative industry cyangwa se muri siporo. Icya mbere barataka ubukene, icya kabiri hakabamo n'ikibazo mukunze kugaruka iteka nyakubahwa perezida wa repubulika gishingiye ku migirire n'imikorere, mindset, indangagaciro, values. Ibi rero byajya hamwe ugasanga leta irimo irakora byinshi, iranatanga byinshi kugira ngo igere kuri izo ntego zaho impano zizamuka, ariko kubera abo ba partners ugasanga imirimo ntabwo yihuta uko byakagombye. Mu gihe habaye icyerekezo nyakubahwa perezida wa repubulika, haraza gukorwa iki, haraza gufatwa izihe ngamba kugira ngo impano z'abana b'abanyarwanda ziri hirya no hino ntizize gutikirira muri iyo mikorere n'iyo migirire isa n'itajyanye n'igihe. Murakoze nyakubahwa perezida wa repubulika.
Mu buryo bworoshye ni ugukurikirana ab'imikorere itajyanye n'igihe, bagahabwa uburyo bajyana n'igihe, cyangwa se igihe kikabasiga bakagira uruhande umuntu akashakisha bashobora kujyana n'igihe. Ndumva nta bundi buryo bwo kubikosora, kuko wanabivuze ibyinshi bitanga uburyo, bitanga icyerekezo birahari. Icya kabiri ni ababishyira mu bikorwa bafitemo imbaraga nkeya cyangwa se izindi mpamvu zibabuza kuzuza inshingano uko bikwiye. Aho niho abantu bakwibanda bagakosora ku buryo bihindura, ubwo bishobora kuzagira ingaruka kuri abo ngabo badakora ibikwiye bitajyanye n'igihe bitewe n'impamvu izo arizo zose zibitera, abantu bakazisuzuma. Hakabaho gushakisha ubundi buryo noneho bwatanga amikoro n'ubwo buryo bukenewe. Icyangombwa iyo ikintu cyamenyekanye, ikibazo cyamenyekanye, kiba gisigaye no gushyira imbaraga mu kugira ngo gikemuke hakoreshejwe uburyo ubwo ari bwo bwose, nicyo kizakurikira.
Thank you, sir. CNBC.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Eric Shaka from CNBC Africa. Mr. President, talking of the African Union, my question, African Union as a permanent member of the G20, my question is about how you envision Rwanda's role in shaping the AU's agenda in advocating Africa's interest in global economic governance, particularly in areas such as climate finance, trade, investment, and debt sustainability. Thank you, Mr. President.
I think that is already happening. There has been an effort to raise the stake of the continent, to have a voice, to participate in the G20 matters or other global institutions. Africa deserves to be well represented. There's no question about it. It's not a given that it will happen just because it is right and it must. But, so you have to struggle for that. And really Africa needs to assert itself and make its rightful demands. And so Rwanda participates on all these. As Maria pointed out, Rwanda at one time, 2018, chaired the African Union. From that time onwards, Rwanda was leading a reform process that AU needed. So the most important thing is to participate and participate with other African countries, people, and and keep the voice loud enough to do what we need to do. So Rwanda is not, there is no country that is an island, is isolated from other countries or partner states in different organizations. So we do our best. We do our best for ourselves as a country. We do our best in contributing to what is good for the continent. Always the emphasis is cooperation, it's working together, it's, every country, every person on this continent has something to contribute. We just make sure that the contribution is made, and we make use of that by being organized, by finding ways we can be effective. So Rwanda is going to be present, has been, and will continue.
Thank you, Your Excellency. I think we may end here. I'm sure we will have
there are no
other opportunities.
One or two.
One or two?
Yeah.
Okay, Noreen.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Indira Oganga. I'm from Bloomberg News, and I just want to talk about business and investment for a little while. My first question is, when can we expect conclusion of the deal between Qatar and Rwanda to acquire 49% stake in the country, and how big or how much is this deal going to be? And also, how many planes can we expect from that arrangement? And still staying with investment, I was talking to the CEO of Rwanda Stock Exchange on Monday, and he mentioned the exchange can only be as big as the market. So I want to ask you, are there certain state-owned enterprises that the government is thinking to privatize to boost the exchange? And finally, congratulations on successfully hosting FIA. To that regard, I just want to find out what is going to be the economic impact of hosting F1 here, and is Rwanda trying to establish itself as a sporting hub in Africa? Thank you again.
Good. Well, I can simply say on the Qatar-Rwanda partnership over the airline and the airport has made very good progress. It's been going on very well. Right? Being precise with the dates and amounts and figures of different kinds wouldn't give us necessarily a clear picture, but overall I can say it has made very good progress. It's still going. It's a matter of it's not a long time that we shall see these things playing out, and being able to now go into those details you're asking for. By this year, and in fact, at this beginning, there are many things that are being concluded. And some of the things are being concluded just in writing, when they have been happening physically on the ground. So there is an overlap of, we have been going ahead and doing certain things that benefit this partnership. As we have more discussions, as to put things in writing and therefore making them specifically public to people. So really the practical things happening have been going ahead of just signatures and so on. This is what I can say. On the second question, for sure there are a number of, in fact there has been a process. It is now, the whole of last year, there was a process of, and slightly before, there was a process of first examining and listing all the government entities that could be privatized and get them off the government balance sheet, and this will translate very well into what we need to see happen on our exchange. So this is underway, this is going on. There is a team of people that have been following that up and working to, you know, the Gachiro fund that is there. It is taking care of those public enterprises and other similar ones in the process of privatization and also feeding into this institution we are talking about. For yes, FIA was a success, I think, and it is part of what you also, in fact, said, creating a sports hub and other businesses that incorporate sports in their ecosystems. So and that's what brings up Formula One. Formula One, we did the bidding, it is making good progress, and we are also in discussions with MotoGP, and you are aware this year we are going to host the World Cycling Championship here in Rwanda. So all of these are things that are happening according to plan, and having thought through all this, the benefit to the country and to businesses and the people of this country and Africa are enormous. They are really limitless opportunities, and that's why we made that choice. You are aware before this we have had partnerships over football. We have partnership with Arsenal, with PSG, with Bayern Munich. These ones have, the results have spoken for themselves. It brings in, I see people write so many things about Rwanda is open. It's really open for business, open for tourism, open for education. We have brought people through education channels to, you know what we have here, kana and many others that have established here. All these are, so far, generally, I don't know any of these endeavors we have undertaken that have led to government regretting that we did this and that. In fact, it is just all benefits. And again, with time, the benefits become more tangible. You show it in numbers more clearly than it is now.
Thank you, Your Excellency. I think we have exhausted all questions.
Maybe one more.
One, the gentleman in the suit.
You sure there's only one in the suit?
Murakoze nyakubahwa Perezida wa Repubulika, nitwa Ibarushimuwe Bihoki Keve Christian, umunyamakuru wa televiziyo ya BTN. Ukwezi kwa karindwi umwaka ushize habayeho gahunda yo gufunga insengero zitarajujuje ibisabwa. Izo bitakundaga zirasenywa, ariko hari izindi zasabwe kugira ibyo zuzuza. Hashize amezi 6 bavuga yuko hari ibyo basabwe kuzuza. Bagize bati mutubwirire umubyeyi yongera dutumeho za ntumwa zize zurebe ibyo twasabwe kuzuza ko twabikoze, twongere tube twafungurirwa. Ikindi, hari abasore n'abakobwa hano hanze hano tujya tuganira no ku mbuga nkoranyambaga, bavuga yuko gushaka cyangwa se kubaka ingo bigorana kubera ubushobozi n'ibindi bona bishobora kubatera ubwoba. Ndagira ngo muze kugira ubutumwa mu bagenera by'umwihariko ku buryo umuntu ashobora gutinda gushaka avuga ati ndi gushaka ubushobozi, ingaruka bishobora kubyagira nibihe. Murakoze nyakubahwa Perezida wa Repubulika.
Muri uko gushaka ariko harimo n'ubushobozi, nabyo ni nko gushaka ubushobozi. Iyo ushaka
bavuga ko hari igihe ubushobozi bugorana. Umusore ati sinakuzana utazicirwa n'inzara n'iwanjye, umukobwa ati nanjye singiye kuza kwicirwa inzara n'iwabandi.
Ariko se ko abantu bose koko barashonje kugeza aho ngaho, ko ari abahungu ari abakobwa. Reka tubanze icya mbere cy'insengero. Cy'insengero cyavuzweho byinshi, cyagize gite, ariko niba abantu nta mu bwanyu mwajyaga ndani mu mizi y'ikibazo mukagisesengura, kwanza ntabwo numva impamvu insengero zigeraho zigomba kuba ikibazo. Kandi ubanza biba mu Banyafurika gusa, sinzi ko hari ahandi insengero zaba ikibazo. Ubanza ari naho bwa bushobozi butakariraga, bwa bundi bavugaga n'abadashakana, abantu bigiriye mu bintu biraho by'icyuka, nawe bashoramo ngira ngo bifuza kubarangaza gusa ngo Abanyafurika murindagire mujya mu bintu nk'ibyo ngibyo. Ariko reka ibyo mbe mberekeye aho ngaho bitaza kuvamo ibindi byinshi. Njye ku kibazo ubwacyo, hari insengero usibye ko ayo mateka yabyo ntashaka kuyatindaho ariko adasobanutse. Ubundi ikintu icyo ari cyo cyose bijyanye nk'izo nsengero cyangwa ibindi bigira uburyo, bikwiye kugira uburyo bikurikiza kugira ngo bijyeho. Iyo bibayeho bibaho bite, bikora bite, ibyo ubundi abantu bashaka ibintu bitunganye mu bantu mu gihugu bakwiye kuba bibaza ibyo ngibyo. Ngira ngo mu byo wanavuze uremeranya nuko abo bantu hari ibyo bagomba kuba bujuje batari bujuje, noneho bakaba barabyujuje. Ubu ikibazo gisigaye ni ikindi, ni ukujya kureba niba noneho byuzuye. Nta nubwo bavuga ngo badusabye kuzuza iki kandi kidakwiye kandi atari cyo cyangwa iki. Nuko bemeranya nibura n'ibyasabwaga gusa bakaba barabikurikije, abantu bakava mu kajagari. Nayo ibintu byari akajagari, ntiwabyirengagiza, ni uko byirengagiza gusa, ariko akajagari kari gahari karakabije mu bintu bitanasobanutse. Rero uburyo burahari uko byagiye. Insengero zafunzwe, aho bazifunze babwiye abantu impamvu, hari zitarafunzwe. Abo bantu nabo izo mpamvu bamwe wenda abandi ntibazemeye, ariko abandi hari benshi bazemeye. Muravuga ko hari abazujuje, ibyo ni byiza. Ubu gisigaye abazifunze bakwiriye gusubira inyuma bakareba niba kuko ibyo basabye abantu barabyujuje kandi ikibazo ni iki kibita ntabwo numva ari ikibazo kiremereye kidafite umuti ahubwo abantu no gushyira mu bikorwa ibyo bakwiriye gukora ntabwo rero mbona ikibazo hanyuma ibyo kindi cy'ubukene buri mu bantu ni ikibazo nyine turwana nacyo buri munsi ibyo twavuze aha byose igihugu aho kiva aho kigana ibyo gikora ibi byambazwaga bijyanye n'ibyo dukora muri siporo n'ibyo tugira gute hari byinshi tubari kujya no mu buhinzi n'ubworozi tukavuga ibikorwa remezo biriya byose imari ishorwamo ni ukugira ngo abo ngabo bashobore kugira uburyo bagira ikibatunga naho sinibwira ko uko banabivugaga cyangwa uko nabiheraho ntabwo nibwira ko u Rwanda noneho dukwiriye gushyiraho fund ingengo y'imari kugira ngo dufashe abashaka gushakana babuze amikoro ntabwo twabivamo ni ukuri ariko ibi bikorwa bindi byose ni ukugira ngo buri muntu aho ariho hose yaba ari ushaka cyangwa hari n'abatashaka gushaka nabwo bagomba kuba bahari ntabwo bose abatarashaka ntabwo bivuze ko ari uko babuze amikoro hari n'abatabishaka ariko buri wese ari ubishaka n'utabishaka azagerweho no kugira ikimutunga no kugira uburyo niyo mpamvu dukora ibi byose ndetse ikimenyimenyi kukwereka ko turagerageza igihugu kiragerageza urabizi nko mu mwaka ushize 2024 uzi ko ubukungu bw'igihugu bwakuze ku 9.2%. nta handi ngira ngo niho habaye mbere ku isi cyangwa harimo hambere hakeye. Iyo mibare bayerekana ko hari igikorwa, hari ikintu kizamura ubukungu, kandi nk'uko tubivuga iteka ubukungu bwacu buzamuka bushingiye ku bikorwa bigera ku baturage. Ubukungu cyane cyane bwagiye bukura bushingiye kuri industry na services ndetse n'ubuhinzi n'ubworozi bwarakuze, bufite ibice bwakuzeho bigaragara bitari bisanzwe. Ibyo byose ni ibigerageza gushyira ubushobozi mu bantu, mu banyagihugu, kugira ngo naho ubundi ariko hari abacyari abakene, hari abakene iyo ntawe ubihakana, ariko niyo mpamvu tugomba, bimwe navugaga mu byo dukora tugerageza kwihuta, tugakora ibishoboka byose, bitwara igihe, ariko ni ukugerageza abo ngabo nabo ni ugushakisha abana dushyira mu mashuri, mu myuga, mu biki, barimo muri abo ngabo, ni ukugira ngo bashobore kugira ikintu bakora, ariko bunganirwe n'ibi bindi bigari tugerageza gukora. Byagira uko nta kundi twabigenza, ahubwo ni ukubwirana n'izo nsengero by'amadini, rimwe na rimwe nibajya kubasezeranya bajya babaca makeya cyangwa babikorera ubuntu kugira ngo byose ibintu byorohe, sibyo?
On behalf of the media, Your Excellency, thank you for taking the time today. I'm sure we'll have more opportunities in the future for such interaction. We wish you a nice evening.
Okay, mwakoze, nizere ko umwaka mwawutangiye neza, uzakomeza ube mwiza, hanyuma tugume duhurire muri ibyo bikorwa byo kurwanya ubukene n'ibindi bidakwiye. Asante sana.